we've got a big story shaping up here on the Kent coast, Jason. Sheppey United 2, Welling United 0.
With the end of the UK's third lockdown in sight, today I want to find out how it has been for non-league football teams during this global pandemic. My name is Jonathan Stagg. I am a sports journalism student at Staffordshire University, and today I will be finding out how my local non-league football team, Sheppey United, has been dealing and coping with these national lockdowns during the pandemic. This is COVID and Football, the price of the pandemic, an Ites story. The club, Sheppey United, are based on the Isle of Sheppey on the North Kent coast in the Thames estuary. It has a population of just over 40,000 people as of the 2011 census. The Isle of Sheppey is an historical place, having played a significant role in the history of British aviation in the early 1900s, and it also has strong links to King Henry VIII in the 1500s. But nowadays though, the Isle of Sheppey is just like any other coastal area, with Minster-on-Sea being the largest town. The island's non-league football team, Sheppey United, play in Queenborough at Home Park, and that is the focal point for today's documentary. I am here to find out how the club has been coping during the pandemic and to what extent they have been struggling during these national lockdowns. My main objective is to raise awareness for lower non-league teams and that more needs to be done. In recent months, other Kent teams have made their struggles public. Maidstone United furloughed their entire first team, and on the 25th of March this year, Dover Athletic pulled out of the Vanarama National League South. They had their results expunged, received a 12-point deduction for the 2021-22 season, and received a fine of £40,000 for not being able to fulfil their fixtures. But what about teams lower than the National League North and South? That is what I'm here today to find out. We'll be interviewing a key member of staff at the club, the assistant manager, as well as the chairman of the Independent Supporters Association, to get an all-round perspective and cover all bases. It looked like it was going to be a really great season for the Ites before, for the second year in a row, everything got stopped, but we'll get into that a bit later. We start this story at the beginning with some positivity. It's the 3rd of October 2020, and it's FA Cup fever on the island.
Leonard with a corner for Sheppey, brings it in now. And he goes! He is! He's there! He's there! Mundell for Sheppey! What a start for the Red and Whites, the Super Ites. They've been under so much pressure the first few minutes of this game. But from Danny Leonard's corner on 30 minutes, Mundell with the opener for Sheppey. Sheppey United 1, Welling 0.
True enough, yeah, maybe they get given these days, but probably it was more ball to hand.
It was wishful thinking, Martin, that's what it was. Here comes Carnegie with the corner. In it comes, a header from Midson. Yes! Danny Devine! Danny Devine intervention! With the second for Sheppey United! Sheppey United 2, Welling United 0. Sheppey United into the third qualifying round of the FA Cup for the first time in their history, with a win against a team 3 leagues above them. Mundell with the first, Devine with the second, and Sheppey United have secured one hell of a famous victory. Look at the celebrations going on with the players here.
Having already won 3 FA Cup games this season, the Ites were going into their third out of 4 FA Cup games at home when Vanarama National League Southside Welling United came to the Isle of Sheppey. It was a great day out for the SCEFL side, having come out on top against a team that was 3 leagues above them. So how proud were you as part of the club at full time against Welling United?
That was incredible. It was incredible. So obviously during the pre-season, once we finished one season and we managed to get the disappointment out of the way that we didn't get a chance to complete that season after putting so much effort into it, we started the pre-season quite a good effort, and we had a very, very good pre-season. So we reached the point, and when we were playing Welling, we just reached the peak level. So whilst we were very proud, and obviously, of course, I was proud, it was an incredible achievement, probably one of the highest achievements I've had at coaching level. To some extent, it wasn't as surprised for me. You know, I was expecting the players to go one gear up. That was Welling's first game of the season as well, so we kind of had the advantage there. And I was very proud, but not necessarily as surprised as some people would think.
How did it feel with BBC Final Score being there? Did it add to the occasion of having Sheppey, like mentioned, on national TV? How did that feel?
You know, when we were part of that specific part of success, it really wasn't about how I feel or how the players feel. I genuinely felt a great deal of proudness to be part of the club. It's a very young club, and I know the effort that Ernie and Matt have put together, you know, considering where they took the club to where the club is now, and that journey that Matt and Ernie have put through. Over the 2 years now, I've got to know the fans as well, and, you know, their intrinsic motivation to be part of the club. You know, the club represents their hometown. Being an island, it's almost, they've got that little uniqueness amongst them. So I was more proud for them, and I felt, you know, it felt great to support that increasing identity of the club, because I know what it means to Matt and Ernie and the fans. So at that point, I was more proud that I was able to support that sort of joy, to bring joy to fans and Matt and Ernie.
How did you feel at full time against Welling United?
Well, it was ecstatic. It was, I think, a sense of wow, really. You know, it was the magic of the cup, wasn't it? You know, we'd beaten a team 2 leagues who were above us. We'd got the BBC there. It was everything, and especially after coming out of the first lockdown, the pandemic. You know, there were 300 or something supporters in the stadium, and it just lifted people. It just lifted people. And of course, you have a lot of banter now on social media before and after the game. And it was, you know, we've beaten Welling, and like 2-3 years ago, they were in the National League. So it was a giant killing act, and it was our team. It was Sheppey United.
After beating Welling United, Sheppey were drawn away to Eastbourne Borough, another National League South side, but this time the game was played behind closed doors, with Sheppey experiencing their first defeat of the season to the Sports at Priory Lane in the FA Cup third qualifying round.
And that's a great little ball in. Keeper's there, but he hasn't got it. It's through the legs. And Billy Bennett has put Sheppey ahead. 10th minute. Borough exposed at the back. Sheppey ruthless. And the underdogs, if that's what they are, have taken the lead. Eastbourne Borough 0, Sheppey United 1. Hammond. Nice ball. Charlie Walker gets lured away into the box. Great chance, and in it goes. Well, a sweeping, streaking move down that right-hand side. Lure again. That's not the ball he meant, but it found Kai Innocence. Kai pops it in. Keeper changes his mind. And it's gone in, and within a minute, Eastbourne Borough have gone from a goal down to a goal up. Lure again. Racing forward. Fancies the shot if he can. No, it's taken off him. Needs to go wide from Ferry, and it does. Little chip in from here. Little flip and a smashing goal. Oh, yes.
How gutted were you that the game against Eastbourne Borough was behind closed doors?
Well, I do have a confession, because I did get invited by Matt and the club to go down there as part of the delegation. And that was purely because I'd got a week off, and I just had a conversation with Matt, and he said, you can come along. But I was gutted from my fellow supporters, because it's a nice big stadium, Eastbourne's ground. You know, it's got a lot of facilities in, and these are the grounds you want to be playing in non-league football. And I think that even though it was a midweek game, you probably would have been looking at 50 to 100 Sheppey supporters would have gone to that game. You know, possibly a lot of the guys would have made a bit of a day of it, or gone down early in the afternoon and gone down on the seafront and had some chips and an ice cream and a few beers. But I was gutted for them. I really was. And, you know, and they're these are the games that you want to play, isn't it, in football? You want to play the big teams.
The games that followed that were played in front of crowds based on the government's COVID tier system, with Sheppey's final competitive game being streamed back to the island on a pay-per-view system, that game being in the FA Vars on the 5th of December 2020. Sheppey's last game was a friendly against Ramsgate, but that was abandoned due to floodlight failure. The Independent Supporters Association raised a bucket collection at the ground to raise funds and managed to raise £250. But then once the entire country was put into Tier 4, all football below Tier 2 stopped. How difficult, or how has it been from a coaching standpoint, to not have any games or training since December because of the lockdowns?
Oh, that's the part that's been the most disappointing. And this is my 7th year of coaching. In the last 2 years, I felt that I've reached a point with the club where we've hired, a fantastic group of players at the right time, and we're just peaking at the right times. And we feel that the pandemic couldn't have come at the worst time, because what you don't know is that even those 2 years of football no one has played, that's 2 years of football that have gone away from the opportunity of having peak players. So, it's affected us massively, especially when it comes to getting the best team that we've had to reach that potential. So it's hit us the wrong time.
And how has the pandemic affected you on a personal level, coaching level? How has it been for you?
From a personal level, if I'm honest with you, for me, it's always the attitude in whatever thing that I do. Whatever challenge I face, is you adapt to the challenge and you make the best out of it. So, with the challenge, I had a little bit more time to stay at home, a little bit more time to focus on myself. So, that's exactly what I focus. I focus on my well-being, time with my family. So, in personal level, for me, it hasn't been bad at all. In terms of coaching, similar. I've been through a reasonably long journey to get to the stage where I've got a side where I can potentially push for the title. So, from the coaching perspective, it's been quite devastating, if truth be told. It's hit me at the wrong time.
The last game was back in December. How bad has it been from a fan's perspective not being able to attend games at Home Park?
Terrible, really. It's been bad. I think it's been hard for everybody. The players. It's been hard for the people that run in the club, the chairman, all the officials. On the run up till Christmas as well. That you just look forward to it, and you just look forward to the boxing, the game that between Christmas and New Year, and it's been hard for everybody. You can watch televised football, but I think at the moment the less said about that, the better. And you look forward to your match days. You look forward to standing with the guys that you go to football with, and you probably don't see them any other day, only at football. But probably not got anything in common other than the love of Sheppey United. So it was hard for everybody. It's been really hard, I have to say.
But then that all changed on the 24th of February 2021 this year. And after many talks and discussions with leagues and clubs up and down the country at steps 3 to 6, the FA finally made the decision to curtail the 2020-2021 seasons at steps 3 to 6 level for the second year in a row. The season ended with Sheppey United unbeaten, winning 8 out of 9 games in the league, drawing just 1. You can see from the league table Sheppey are in 4th with 2 or 3 games behind the 3 teams above them due to the extent of their cup runs this season. Question is, where does this leave Sheppey United in regards to the final league standings via PPG? The points per game system that the FA introduced last season to determine the final league positions of clubs due to the pandemic. What was your reaction to the league being curtailed, with Sheppey being in such a strong position when steps 3 to 6 was stopped?
It was done gradually, wasn't it? So
yeah,
I think everybody was expecting it was going to reach that stage. Now, in terms of the decision that's been made, I do fully agree and support. In the worst scenario, this is the best decision. You know, by no stretch of imagination am I saying this is the best scenario. Given the scenario that we're in, this is the best decision. So it's the fairest decision to use the points per game system. And it's the fairest decision to bring both leagues together, because it turns out that by joining both leagues together, I think we've played 102%. If you put the 2 leagues together, we've actually played more than what you would play in one season. No one, I mean, the only advantage that teams have is depending on what sort of fixtures they've played. You know, if you look at our fixtures, I think we play slightly the higher teams more compared to our opponents, but these are minor issues. So in terms of fairness, in the scenario that we're in, using the points per game system, I agree with, and I support the decision, you know, to give the teams the opportunity to get promoted. So yeah, I agree with that.
Talking of PPG, with Sheppey unbeaten at the time the league season was stopped, do you think PPG will go in Sheppey United's favour?
Obviously, when we started the season, the thing that disappoints me the most is when we started the season, there wasn't a plan B. And that's the scenario. So we were starting the season with the ambition to finish. So we started fresh, we recruited fresh, and we invested fresh. Now, had we known that this sort of scenario, perhaps some team wouldn't have invested as much, because what a lot of the league official, the chairman, the league chairmen don't realise, a lot of teams have invested on a second time round that means they've started a season with quite a lot of points less compared to some other opponents. Now, some teams have started the season with less and invested heavily. They've done so because they would have thought that it's only this season that counts. So I can see, where some teams are quite disappointed with the decision to bring both leagues together. And had we known that, because we left the previous season 3rd, would we have invested as much had we known that both seasons come together? I don't know the answer to that, because we've never considered it. But it certainly would have been a hot topic to consider. Do we save and then reinvest again when we know the season's going to be completed? So it is disappointing that there wasn't a plan B put in place. For the first time round, it was understandable because no one expected that. For the second time round, in my professional judgment, it's an excuse where there wasn't a plan B. There should have been a plan B, and that plan B should have been told right at the beginning. At the beginning of the season, we were told that for the promotion and so on to take place, 75% of the league games need to be played. We didn't play that, and somehow promotion did take place. So what happened, we should have been told at the beginning of the season, and then we would have made a fairer decision how we go about investing.
What are your thoughts on the season being curtailed for a second season in a row?
Well, obviously it was out of our control. We had to do it, but I think that with the restructure in the league, it looks like it's going to be Corinthian going up. They are a good side. They've been at the top. I've got my own opinion about other things. I think last season, the season that when the pandemic first came out and it was curtailed, I think we had the momentum. I don't think we'd have won the league, but I think we would have finished second and we'd have got in that playoff place and probably against East Grinstead away. And that would be like playing a cup final, really, especially if you won it. but it for the second time, it's been hard for everybody. But, you know, we just have to come back next year and win the league.
Regardless of the PPG, this football club is the heartbeat of the Isle of Sheppey, with the stadium playing host to the area's local football league's cup finals in recent years. And it has a great youth setup as well, starting at under-9s. It is clear to see that Sheppey United isn't going anywhere anytime soon. But what about the long-term plan for this football club? And what about the short-term recovery plan from this COVID-19 situation? What's the plan for next season? Will you look to build on the progress made this season and the season before?
Yes. So most of our core players now, they will start with us in their third year. So, you know, in terms of retaining the nucleus of the squad, we're quite confident that we're going to do that. And then we'll be hitting the season with the nucleus of our squad. We're looking to recruit some fresh players, specifically in 3 positions that we think we need to strengthen. And then our ambitions remain again the same. You know, we're a club with facilities that can compete 2 or 3 leagues above. We're a club with fan base that we can compete with 2 or 3 leagues above. We're a club that we take pride in the way that we coach, in the way we assess, you know, and we recruit the players. So we're ready to push up the leagues. The only thing that we need is the ladders of the promotion to give us that chance to go up.
Where do you see the club in 5 years' time? Or where would you like to see the club in 5 years' time?
This is the bit. Here is the disappointing side that I have with in the way that the league's been restructured. So my disappointing side is the opportunities from step 5, which is where we're at, to go into the step 4 are extremely and unfairly limited. So in the last 5 years, only 4 teams have moved up. And that's a devastating effect, because in step 5, you have 3 or 4 teams every year that are competing for the league. And these 3 or 4 teams every year are always strong enough to compete in the level above. So if we had a fairer system, in 5 years' time, I can see Sheppey United competing in Ryman Premier. But the challenge that we have is that we seem to only get 1 spot to get promoted. And this year coming, we have an opponents such as Chatham, Beckenham, you know, and a couple of other teams around us who have just as strong a squad as we do. So only one of us can go up. And then this process and restarts again and restarts again. So with only 1 opportunity given to go up, you know, ambition is to be a Ryman Prem, but with only 1 opportunity, it's quite difficult to put a timeline to it.
Do you see Sheppey building on the progress that was made this season, and where do you see them in 5 years?
I'd like to see them in either the next league up, the Ismanian League. I think it's called the Bostik League now, or the league above that. That's going to take a lot of investment. I think as supporters, we've got to play our part in helping to raise funds for the club. You know, maybe doing 50-50 draws at half time, anything we can do. You know, and we want to get in the next league up. We want to be playing Herne Bay. We want to be playing Hythe. We want to be going down to Whitstable, and of course we want to play our big rival Sittingbourne. And that is, you know, people talk about non-league rivalries in Kent, and you've got probably Dartford and Ebbsfleet, who were Gravesend and Northfleet, Herne Bay and Whitstable, Dover and Folkestone, and you've got Sheppey and Sittingbourne, and of course it goes deeper than that. It's a working class rivalry. It's a town rivalry. You know, it could be Tiddlywinks or Network. It's Sheppey v Sittingbourne. And, you know, with no disrespect to Faversham, if you spoke to the Sittingbourne supporters, if you've got people like Mark Broad on here or Dean Creasy, they'd probably say the same thing, that it's a massive thing. So that's where we want to be. You know, I think anything higher than that is probably a little bit too optimistic. You know, to get in the National League would be good, but it would need a lot more investors coming in. And, you know, with the past year we've been through, who knows what's going to happen in football.
No matter what way you look at it, Sheppey United is just one of a number of clubs that are in dire need of help up and down the country. I feel like there could be so much more that could be done to protect the future of these clubs. These clubs are heartbeats of communities. People need their local clubs, and I feel like the government, the Premier League and the Football Association need to do so much more. They could easily do so much more, and to be honest, I don't understand why they haven't. Because it's clear for all to see, because of COVID-19, this is the situation we are now in. This is the price of the pandemic.